The 200 million gas barrier breaks. Ethereum just committed to a 5-fold expansion of its base layer capacity following an engineering summit in the Arctic Circle. Core developers finalized a 200 million gas limit floor for the upcoming Glamsterdam fork, effectively ending the era of constrained Layer 1 throughput. This target isn't a wish list. It is a hard technical benchmark achieved through a radical rewrite of how blocks are structured and priced. By moving from the current 60 million baseline to 200 million, Ethereum is signaling a pivot away from being a passive settlement layer for rollups and toward becoming a high-performance execution engine in its own right. But the speed isn't coming from hardware alone, and the metabolic cost of this shift is being managed by a new guard of researchers. A new guard at the protocol cluster. The Ethereum Foundation has officially handed the keys of the network's technical roadmap to a new generation of leaders. Will Corcoran, Kev Wedderburn, and Frederick have stepped in as the new protocol cluster leads, replacing longtime veterans like Tim Byko and Barnaby Minot. This isn't just a personnel change, it is a tactical reshuffle. Corcoran is focused on post-quantum consensus, while Wedderburn drives the zero-knowledge execution track, marking a shift toward a more aggressive, engineering-first culture. They inherited a project at a crossroads, where the focus has moved from social coordination to hard-coded protocol efficiency. This new leadership is the force behind the Svalbard interop, where the structural requirements for parallel execution were finally set in stone. Unlocking parallel blocks with access lists. The secret to the 200 million gas target lies in EIP-7928, better known as block-level access lists. Think of it like moving from a single-lane grocery checkout to a massive automated warehouse. Currently, Ethereum executes transactions one by one because it doesn't know which accounts might conflict until the code actually runs. Glamsterdam changes the rules by requiring blocks to declare which state they touch up front. This allows nodes to process unrelated trades simultaneously, batching disk reads and computing state routes in parallel. It effectively removes the primary bottleneck that has kept Layer 1 gas limits suppressed for a decade, though it introduces a massive new problem for state storage. The State Byte Tax of EIP-8037. Scaling throughput without managing the database is a recipe for network collapse, which is why developers finalized EIP-8037. It introduces a fixed cost per state byte, essentially a tax on creating new data on-chain. As the gas limit triples, the potential for state bloat triples with it. By raising the price of state creation operations, the protocol ensures that only high-value data occupies permanent storage. It is a controversial move that prioritizes long-term node health over cheap account creation, acting as the necessary friction to prevent the network from becoming too heavy for homestakers to run. This balance between raw speed and sustainable data management defines the Glamsterdam architecture and its ultimate goal for the ecosystem. The Real Implication. The convergence of 200 million gas limits and enshrined block-building rules means Ethereum is reclaiming its role as a high-velocity financial hub rather than just a vault for Layer 2s. By stabilizing EPBS and finalizing state pricing through EIP-8037, the protocol cluster is effectively normalizing Layer 1 performance to compete with integrated chains. For the strategist, this changes the math on where liquidity lives. If mainnet throughput increases 5-fold while fees drop by 78%, the economic gravity of the entire ecosystem shifts back toward the center. We are moving away from a fragmented landscape of rollups and toward a unified, high-capacity settlement core. The era of the settlement-only Ethereum is ending, replaced by a protocol that can actually handle 10,000 transactions per second without sacrificing the decentralization that makes it valuable. Watch for the activation of the Svalbard DevNets in late June as the final validator stress tests begin. Subscribe for more.